where every word opens a new world. Welcome to the portal of stories.
Some places were never meant to be found, not because they are hidden, but because they wait. Wait for someone curious enough, lonely enough, broken enough. In the heart of a forgotten town, there is a well, stone cold, silent, older than the names carved on tombstones nearby. They say it doesn't echo. They say it speaks, but not in words, in memories, in wounds, in truths no one dares to carry. This story is not about courage or justice or even redemption. It is about a boy who asked the wrong question at the right time, about secrets that were never buried, only thirsty, about how some echoes don't come back to you because they never left. If you listen closely, you may hear it too. Not a voice, not a scream, just a name, gently spoken, like someone who refuses to be forgotten.
In the heart of the small town of San Felipe, where the clock seemed to lag on purpose and the dust was not dirt, but memory, there was a corner that no one wanted to look at too closely. It was the square, not because of its age, or the corroded statue honoring a forgotten mayor, but because of what lay right in the center covered in ivy and silence, a stone well black as a moonless night. Children avoided it instinctively. Dogs never barked near it. Grandmothers whispered prayers under their breath as they passed. They said the water was clear. Yes, but that whoever drank from it could hear voices that weren't human, that the well didn't return echoes but confessions, and that sometimes it returned nothing at all. Lucas was 17, curious, restless, and trapped in a routine too small for him, like many boys in small towns. He lived with his grandmother Carmen since he was 8. His mother had vanished, his father a shadow that only existed in a faded black and white photograph. Carmen was a woman with clouded eyes and words heavy with meaning. The well is not cursed, Lucas, it's hungry. That alone was enough to spark his imagination. But it wasn't until that sticky September, when the heat clung to the skin and the cicadas went silent too early, that he decided to visit the well. He did it without much thought, as if some part of him already knew the way. It was late, the square, empty, the sky stained red, the wind barely moved. Lucas approached the edge and looked down, nothing but darkness. He tossed a pebble. It took several seconds before he heard the splash. Then, in a half-playful tone, he said, "Is someone there?" He waited. The echo took its time, but it did not return his voice. No one hears the laments of those who once were. It wasn't a loud sound. It was soft, like someone whispering directly into his ear. He stepped back instinctively, his chest tight, but he didn't run. There was something about it, something almost seductive. That night he couldn't sleep. He told himself it was his imagination, the wind maybe. But the next night he returned, and then again and again. The well spoke to him at first in short phrases, then in full stories. Disjointed narratives like fragments ripped from forgotten conversations. A father who betrayed his son, a woman who gave birth in secret and threw her baby into the river, a boy who drowned in a fountain out of jealousy. Lucas began recording on his phone, writing in an old notebook. The stories consumed him. He felt chosen, as if the well had been waiting for him. He didn't understand how, but familiar names began to appear. Last names of neighbors, phrases he had heard whispered at family gatherings, until one day the well mentioned his mother. He returned home pale. Carmen saw him and knew immediately. "You went, didn't you?" Lucas didn't answer. She walked over and held his face with trembling hands. "Don't go back, Lucas. The well is like a mirror. It doesn't show who you are but what you hide, and some secrets are heavier than any soul can bear." But Lucas couldn't stop. In his dreams, the well opened in the middle of the house. The walls oozed water, and a figure stared at him from below. A woman, her back turned, her hair floating like seaweed, and in her face, Lucas's eyes. He took Daniel, his best friend. He needed to share it to confirm he wasn't losing his mind. Just come, you don't have to believe, just listen. They went at dusk. Daniel followed reluctantly when they arrived. The well stood still as if it knew to wait. Lucas spoke softly. Talk to me again. For several seconds, nothing happened. Daniel was about to crack a joke when a voice rose soft and dry. Daniel, do you want to know why your father never looks you in the eye? Daniel stepped back, his face frozen. What? What is this? He whispered. Lucas didn't answer. He smiled for the first time in weeks. He didn't feel alone. But Daniel stared at him in horror. That's not knowledge, Lucas. That's poison. It's the truth. And what if the truth breaks us? Daniel left. He never returned to the well, nor to Lucas's house, nor to school. The well's voices changed. They became more direct, more personal. They called him by his full name. They told him things he couldn't possibly know: how his mother died, Carmen's secret, the cursed bloodline of his family. The whispers followed him during the day, in puddles, in dreams, sometimes in his own voice. One day he looked in the mirror and didn't recognize himself. His skin paler, his eyes sunken, his gaze hollow. He knew what he had to do. Descend. He tied a rope and returned to the well on a moonless night. No one saw him leave. The rope disappeared into darkness. He climbed down slowly, the air thick, humid, crackling with invisible energy. At the bottom, he didn't find water. He found a mirror, oval covered in moss, carved with ancient symbols. The glass didn't reflect his face. It showed scenes, moments he didn't remember, living himself in another time, in other clothes, in other deaths. And behind him, the souls, dozens faceless, crying endlessly, and among them his mother whispering his name, Carmen younger screaming and Daniel screaming still. The well didn't devour him, it absorbed him, translated him, turned him into story, into echo. Who am I? Lucas asked on his knees. You are the crack, answered all the voices, the one who binds what was meant to stay broken. They never found him. Carmen died a week later. Neighbors said she passed in her sleep with a single tear on her cheek. No one spoke of the well again, but sometimes children in the village swear they hear something when they pass the square. Not screams, not crying. A name, spoken softly, spoken like someone who wants to be remembered.
Thank you for listening. The journey has just begun. Until next time.